Hello everybody and welcome once again to Filmsplaining. I'm your host, Martin Strange. On this show, I talk about movies that I love, why I love them, and why you should love them too. I was not planning on making this video, but frankly, I have to talk about my newest obsession. This movie straight up blew me away. I had the opportunity to see it last year in Toronto at the Toronto International Film Festival, but I was not able to do so because I had an early screening the following morning and it was a midnight showing. So I just now caught up with this movie just as everyone else is catching up with it over the opening weekend and the opening week. And man, I have not been so uncomfortable, so upset in a movie theater in quite some time. Watching this movie made me feel the way I felt when I first saw The Witch or It Follows or Barbarian. This has that energy that makes it feel like a generational classic horror movie. The main big selling point of this movie is its lead performance from Inde Navarrette. She is just such a revelation, such a discovery. I have never seen this actress before, and I truly do not know how she pulled off this performance. It is this incredible tightrope walk of a kind, cool, interesting girl balanced with, once the turn in this movie happens, the most unsettling, most disturbing, fucked up human behavior you can possibly imagine. The way that she walks this line between being perfectly okay one moment and then utterly deranged and disturbed the next moment is truly amazing. I really think this actress is in the lineage of your Isabella Gianni in Possession, Toni Collette in Hereditary, Mia Goth in Pearl. Like, she is right up there right from the get-go. There are things that this actress does in this movie. There are lines that she says that just made my skin crawl. And much of this performance is just the actress performing straight to camera. Like, there are very little added effects or added benefits of camera trickery or things. Like, she's often photographed in almost total darkness, which does help the kind of mystique. But for the most part, she's just acting directly to camera, and she's achieving all of these things that most horror movies require some extra level of something added in post-production or in the sound design. And the sound design in this movie is quite good, but I really think that for the most part, it's just the way that she speaks and emotes and relays her inner turmoil and her obsession with this guy. If you don't know, the film is basically a kind of love story. It's a quasi-love story, be it one-sided or not. This guy who is hopelessly in love with one of his good friends finds this trinket, this one-wish willow thing at a store, a kind of oddities, curiosities shop that carries crystals and all these kinds of things. And he makes a wish that Nikki, the girl who he has intense affection for, will love him more than anyone else in the world. And the wish comes true. These things, these trinkets actually work. In fact, when he goes to check out at the counter, the cashier there in the store says that he can't come back and complain about the results because I guess they've had people who have come back and found out that these things do actually work. Of course, this is, the trick of this movie is that he makes a wish on this little stick, basically, and his wildest dream comes true. Nikki becomes completely obsessed with him. She cannot stay away from him. She doesn't let him leave her side. She is hopelessly devoted to him and proclaims her love. Before this, there was no real romantic feelings between the two of them other than him being in love with her and never having the guts to tell her or say anything or not knowing how to say it. And suddenly they are together. They are dating because this is his dream come true. She is his manic pixie nightmare girl. And so we see them starting to date, and there's a montage that is kind of, showing the best parts of this, the early kind of honeymoon phase of dating someone new, especially someone you've had intense romantic feelings for a long time. She is reciprocating those feelings. She is in many places even making him uncomfortable. They have a date where she stands up and has a fit and gets really heated and emotional original. So he's starting to feel like something is up. And naturally, the film just goes off the rails. You know, the logical end point of this is that this woman becomes completely possessive of him and will not let him out of her sight. When he goes to work during the day, first of all, she duct tapes the door completely shut with all of this duct tape, tries to prevent him from going to work. And then when he returns home, she's still standing there in the living room, completely a mess, having thrown up on herself. She basically is no longer a person. And that's one of the things that's so interesting about this movie, is because it gets into all of these philosophical ideas about consent and about what is love and about a person's agency and whether they have control over these feelings. You know, it's talking about a lot of things that young people who are experiencing love for the first time are wrestling with. It is addressing, you know, the idea of, you know, if you make a wish, does the thing that comes true then completely negate the other person who you wished it upon? And in this case, it does. I won't really spoil the movie here because I want people to just go and see it and experience it for themselves. But there are a lot of really interesting, fascinating things that this movie is talking about, in addition to it being just an incredibly fun, scary, and gory good time. I will say, if you are hesitant around gore or blood, you might want to stay away from this one. If things like lots of personal information being overshared constantly is not your thing, then I would maybe stay away from this one, or maybe just wait until it hits streaming later this year. But I was really just knocked out by how much the director Curry Barker is able to put on screen with such a limited budget. This film cost less than $1 million to make. It was produced by Blumhouse. It was then picked up by Focus Features, and so far it has made over $30 million at the box office, which is great, incredible news, especially for a small indie horror movie that didn't have like a huge marketing campaign. It did have some marketing, but you know, it's not the kind of film that has an endless budget to pump into commercials and advertisements. There was a really cool marketing thing that I saw for this movie where there is a wall with an advert placed on it and Nikki's handwriting scrawled all over the wall. It's a really cool, effective piece of marketing. And I think, you know, the marketing team did a great job with this movie. Just a few trailers, some sort of viral moments like that advertisement on a city block. You know, these things really have helped sell the movie, and I feel like people turned out for it. This is one of the horror events of the year, if not the horror event of the year. It's already been a great year for horror with this, and with 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, and we also still have Leviticus yet to come. We also still have Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma to come later this year. We just had Hokum, so it's shaping up to be a pretty strong year for horror, but I think for my money, this is the one. If you're going to see one horror movie this year, it should be Obsession, and I think this movie will go down as a classic. Like I said, it has that feeling, it has that energy of your kind of first-time directors or second-time directors. I mean, this director, Curry Barker, he's like 25 years old. I think he's made a lot of short films. He made one like hour-long short called Milk and Cereal a few years ago, but this movie, like, to be a theatrically released feature film debut, it's just incredible what he pulled off here, especially given the limited time and limited budget. I read that they shot this movie in 20 days. It's one of those things where you see everything on screen. They threw everything at the wall and almost all of it stuck. And that's really exciting, especially for a young horror filmmaker. This guy has already signed on to do a Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot, which I am always wary of. Every time one of these is announced, I'm very suspicious of it. But after seeing this movie, I gotta say, I think I trust this guy with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's not going to be the same kind of slasher movie that the original is, but I am really interested to see what he does with that source material, because he has a really specific point of view, I think, especially around relationships. And if he bases that film around the relationships of maybe the family or the characters who meet the family, then it's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. It might not be, you know, the bloodbath that the original classic movie, which you can see on my wall behind me, is, but I really look forward to seeing what this guy does next. He also has another original film already in post-production that will be coming out before that, so I'm excited to see what that is about. If I have one gripe with this movie, I think it's that these characters, these core group of four characters, all work at a small independent music store. And frankly, as someone who knows about this from having played music all my life, there's no way that a tiny independent music store is making enough money to pay 4 full full-time employees on the same day. It's just, that stretches the disbelief just a little bit. There's a really fun cameo from Andy Richter in this movie. Not exactly a cameo. He does have a few scenes. He plays the father of one of the characters and the manager of the music store. So it's nice to see him in the movie. And I have to say, the other performers in this movie are pretty top-notch too. I had never seen any of them before. Michael Johnston as the character of Bear, the guy who makes the wish for this girl to love him endlessly, is really like holding his own against Inde Navarrette. He is portraying this guy who is realizing the pitfalls of his choices and starts to question why he did this, how to control it or how to just end it or something. This guy makes all the wrong choices, and I've seen some people, there is already a pretty rich discourse about this character on whether he is a victim of this thing or not. And let me make it obvious, I do not believe this guy is a victim at all. He makes every wrong decision every time. He has numerous chances to try and fix this, but he chooses one way or another not to, and the situation keeps getting worse and worse, and eventually really terrible shit starts happening. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't want to ruin some of the great, moments in this movie, but I think that character of Bear is a complex one. So that's probably why people are having this argument, but he is in no way the victim. He was in total control of his wish and what he chose to say and when he chose to say it. And then, as the situation around him spirals out of control, he still sort of takes every opportunity to try and have the best of both worlds, to try and have it both ways. And it becomes clear through the telling of this story that that's just not going to happen. This movie is genuinely unnerving and disturbing. I saw it with some friends yesterday, and we were all kind of squirming in our seats the entire time. If you have a chance, please see this movie in theaters, especially if you can see it with a big audience. It is really a movie that needs to be experienced with an audience to get the full effect of the scares and of the just tone of dread and creepy, unsettled nature of this world that Curry Barker is presenting. I'm sure I have more thoughts on this movie, and I'm itching to rewatch it just to see what all I pick up on. There is just some great horror filmmaking going on in this film, and I'm excited to see what comes next for this director. I want more people to go see this movie, and I think it's going to end up being talked about as one of the greats of recent years, especially of the last decade or so. If you're like me and you love horror and you love getting freaked out in the theater and you like seeing a story told a new, fresh, interesting way, this is the movie for you. Go see Obsession. Get obsessed with it, actually. But don't make any wishes. Just don't make any wishes. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel and check out my recent videos on the Conjuring universe, as well as some of my Physical Media Forever videos, the Crumb Criterion Collection Blu-ray. I also have a brand new channel called Punk Rock Picture Show. This is a history of radical cinema told in video essay form. You can check that out on my page or in the description of this video. Thank you so much. Until next time. Happy viewing.